Before to jump in with Ahmed's presentation, if it's the first time that you join ECT Agile webinars, let me introduce briefly the company. ECT Agile was founded in 2016 by Camille Spruill, a successful self-starting Black female in the IT industry. Her vision was to create a company that provides tailored Agile solutions and foster an Agile mindset, vision that we embrace every day. In the screen, you can see some of our values that provide some direction in our day-to-day. In terms of our services, we are all about business agility, Agile solutions, Atlassian services. But if you just can take one thing from ECT Agile, we believe that in times of change, software tools needs to adapt to the way that people are working. While COVID-19 has been very challenging, it has also shaped how people work. Most of us are working remotely. Atlassian products can help with improving team practices and building resilience. Software tools like Jira can assist you to stay on track as you plan, develop, and deliver products. If you are already using Atlassian products, but you are not sure if you are taking full advantage of their functionality, we can help to improve your experience. As an Atlassian Silver solution partner, we can guide your teams to succeed. If you have any questions or do you want to learn more, please visit our website, ectagile.com, and I know Alex will be sharing also a link if it's easier in that way. On my final note before the presentation, mark your calendars February 12th. You know, in February we celebrate the Black History Month, and we are very excited because we are launching our diversity inclusion initiative named ECT Stand Up, which is our give back to our community. We are trying to reach students in college to show them the amazing community of Agilists. More news coming up, but here is just like a hint. Are you ready? Let me introduce our guest speaker. Ahmed is coach and founder of Agile 7. He studied this topic, comfort zone to growth zone, with Kazuyoshi Hisano, author of CEO Coaching, considered to be the foremost authority of unlocking human potential. Ahmed is an Agile coach focused on business agility. He used curiosity to invite people into his teaching and learning. He used a variety of tools, all focused on helping see your system, so you can chart your path to high performance. You can find his contact information on the screen and his blog at agile7.com. As well as you can subscribe to his YouTube channel where he regularly posts great videos with trends on the industry. Welcome and thank you, Ahmed. I'm going to stop sharing right now.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Maria, for such a good introduction, and thank you for hosting me. Well, welcome everyone. And I see a whole bunch of people with their video off. I guess that's going to be protocol too, but I think it's important for me to get visual feedback from you. So I invite you to turn on your cameras, but if you don't want due to bandwidth issues, that is also perfectly okay. So I'm excited, and I know you're going to have a lot of fun. The way I build my presentations, I try to think about that. And also, I'm very cognizant about you walking away with something practical that you can immediately apply. So in that, some guardrails. So Alex is going to help me with a breakout activity later. And we will send you out to breakout rooms, which means there's going to be some homework that you need to do, which also means that I need you to bring in an advanced tool called Post-its, right? Or paper. So you'll need pen, paper, or Post-its to do a little bit of thinking on your own. And so make sure that's handy. You'll have some time. It won't happen until the end of the session. It is going to be quite fast and furious. I was talking to Maria that, I can talk about each of the 7 modules for 90 minutes, but we need to talk about all of them and then fit it in 30 minutes. So let's see how it goes. But again, I'm excited. We'll take it from there. Last thing, I may not be looking at the chat, but I will depend on Alex and Maria to tell me. I prefer that you hold your questions to the end, but put a cue before the question so that when we are parsing through them, we know that this was a question that we need to address at the end, right? And we keep the pace of the presentation going. So without further ado, I'm going to start sharing my screen, which requires you another limitation, or not limitation, but excitement. The whole presentation is built off Mentimeter, which means that I need you to join Menti either by scanning this code or typing that code in your device or using the Menti app and putting in the code. So go ahead and take a minute with a second device and put in this code to join Mentimeter. And Alex, if you can do me a favor, just copy that code down somewhere for somebody by chance comes in later and needs to know, and we can give that code to them. Right. And I'm going to hold it for a few seconds until everybody's gotten a little bit of a chance, maybe just a minute more. And then for everybody else, Alex and Maria, you can help field providing that code. Okay. So I'm seeing some people take out their phone and scan it. Some people note down that number. If that is so, then I think that's my cue to move on. All right. So why are we here today? We're going to talk about comfort zone, and we're going to talk about growth zone, and we're going to talk about things that handle your conscious mind and things that tap into your unconscious mind. See, the system to go from 1 to 2 or 1 to 10 is very different from the system that takes you from 1 to 100. And you don't have to do it incrementally because, and we'll explain more, but there is a vastly different method that taps into your unconscious potential, which is unlimited, and to see how you can unlock things that you might have thought are not possible. So first question for you, and this is where I want to keep it interactive, and that's also how you know that people are actually engaging with this. Do you consider yourself a coach? Yes, no, maybe. So go ahead and answer the question. Right? I'm seeing majority of the people here are will consider themselves coaches. And I think we had 40 plus people in the webinar. And I'm hoping the holy grail of having all 40 people participate. Maybe, maybe not. So if somebody needs a code, please, uh, Alex, if you can drop in the code. But I see that 32 people have already responded. And we will move on, but hopefully more people can join in. And if you're having any technical difficulties, maybe we can try to tackle them if it's possible. All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. So looks like we are a bunch of coaches, and which is awesome because that's the perfect audience for this. Next question: do you have formal training in coaching? Coactive, integral, agile coaching, professional counseling? And notice that I have a color scheme on the right side. So the people who answered the question previously, whether they were coaches or not, unknown are people who probably didn't get a chance to answer that, and how those are showing up here. So if you consider yourself a coach, but then you have had coaching training, you're in here in this blue column. But if you consider yourself a coach, but you have not had training, you're in this column. I like to collect these things to further disseminate and share. But it looks like we are still in the high side of practice and expertise. So 34 people have responded. My next question: do you have a coach yourself? Do you have a coach yourself? And not an assigned coach, a person who's actually vested in growing you. Oh, that is fascinating. And again, the colors indicate that for those, and I want to acknowledge that maybe somebody might be not colorblind, but most of the people looks like it's an even spread of people who consider themselves coaches and who have their coach themselves, and people who don't, but possibly they don't consider them coach, but they have a coach themselves. So it's very interesting to me that it's kind of split in the middle. Very nice. All right, we're going to move on, but this is just data that I gather, and I've been gathering for some time. Is just an interesting pattern that tells me more about you. All right, let's focus back. What is one thing you want to get out of this session? Why are you here? And see if I can actually meet that need. Learn new things, keep growing, learn from Ahmed. Oh, thank you. Strategies to reach goals, options for the future. I want to learn something new. Networking. Oh, networking. We did not design a networking breakout, but we should because I was only given 30 minutes, unfortunately. And I wanted to give you more materials and growth, learn new things. What I'm looking for is patterns. Obviously, I'm not going to read each one of them, but looks like better understandings, future growth, learning. There's a common theme here, and people are still typing in. But there's a pattern that has already emerged in growth and learning. Learn more about SAFe. Okay, well, I think Maria can help you with that. Uh, Possibly this is a different session than what you intended. All right, awesome. I'm going to move on. So, agenda, what we will cover. We will talk about cognitive coaching and why you should care. What is comfort zone and how do you shift your comfort zone to your growth zone? What is Hisano's model, the person I've studied with? And after I studied Harada method and modeling it, then I've got engaged with Hisano's model. There's a long story there, but it is one of the better formed models of applying neuroscience and cognitive coaching. Then the 7 questions for involvement, which is also the 7 steps for your success. Talk a little bit about the myth of the self-made man. And maybe if we have time, talk about confidence versus help, which is a very dangerous word. Because when you say help, you probably think that the person is helpless and avoid that terminology. Because you can advise, consult, partner, avoid using the word help. And imagine what's possible. All right. So I want to dedicate this session to in loving memory of my teacher, my friend, Norman Bodek, who introduced me to this area many, many years ago. He was my Harada coach. I had the honor to teach classes with him. I've done multiple project collaboration. We would meet weekly for a very long time. He passed away in December. So with that, I do feel his loss greatly. He's the one who introduced me to Harada as well as Hisano's method. He was a legend on his own. He brought Shingo's work. And if you don't know Shingo or Toyota's legendary lean manufacturing, he set up a company called Productivity Inc. And the first literature that came out of Japan translated to English was from his part, and hundreds of books published. The last book that he published from his company was CEO Coaching, which brought Hisano's work from Japanese to USA. Hisano is well known in Japan. He's coached hundreds and hundreds of CEOs over the years, and now his work is accessible by way of this book, which I recommend you guys getting. It's very, very reasonable for the Kindle edition. I think it's $2 or maybe $1. But I highly recommend it. Most of the material I present will be sourced from here, but obviously I've had the opportunity to do deeper workshops with him. I had my own coaching lineage. So like I said, Norman, my teacher, my friend, and also Diana, my Agile Fluency people. I mean, these are the coaches, mentors that I've stayed very, very actively engaged with, who are vested in me and I'm vested in them. So, this is not an Agile Fluency session or a human systems dynamics organizational development session, but I wanted to share where my coaching style comes from. All right. So one thing Norman would always share with me was that the mind is a beautiful servant, but a dangerous master. It's a Buddhist saying. He's heard it from his teacher, Rudy, but Norman would always say that anytime I meet. And the reason is because your brain is a computational center. It loves to solve problems. The more unsolvable problem, your brain will get stuck until it can find an answer. And your brain can be tricked. Your brain is getting tricked by the messages that are coming from TV or whatever influence. We're always being, but why not take control of this? Programming is always happening to you, but why not take control of this? So feed it the same way we train machine learning algorithms, the same way we train models. Give them solve problems and see if they can get to that. Build pattern matching, give them unsolved problems. We have artificial intelligence, cognitive computing, machine learning. We're developing machines to behave like humans, but we forgot to train our own real intelligence the same way, which is so ironic. All right. So, and this is where I would have asked you to give me some answers, but in the absence of time and not having a closer one-on-one engagement or small group engagement, I'll just pass through this. Obviously, there's a longer detail. This is what a comfort zone looks like. All these people are going somewhere. It's so uncomfortable to look at from outside, but I can guarantee you everyone is feeling safe. I know where I'm going. This is something I've been doing every day. I need to go to work. I need to pick up my kids. I need to drop off my kids. But in the system, they don't realize it. But outside, what happens to you? What do you look like? Oh my God, so many people, right? And that's the thing. You have to step outside to realize that, maybe you're stuck. Maybe there's a better thing we can envision. And it's unfortunate that a lot of us are stuck in different ways. Now, somebody has been challenging, somebody asked me like, oh, but yeah, but we live in a different world now. We live in a post-COVID reality. And I say, yeah, and we're stuck in something new now. Notice this. Zoom after Zoom after Zoom after Zoom. The boundaries of work and life, your bed and office, and it's just blurred. And now you're stuck. The safety of knowing, okay, I'll go on Outlook and I join my Zoom meeting to another Zoom meeting to another Zoom meeting. And then you have to get work done late at night because all day you're in Zoom meetings. Okay? You're not taking part, you're programmed into a new comfort zone. But it's not really useful because now people have self-care issues, people have back issues, people are not going out and walking, right? There's new problems. There's a brand new comfort zone that has happened. All right, I want to share a video. Jim Carrey, probably doesn't need any introduction, but I wanted to share a video. So let's quickly watch this video and see what your reflections on this. Oh, did it not play?
First for it. My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. And our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
All right. So what he's saying that, safe routes also are not guaranteed. Who's heard this is a safe job? What is a safe job anymore? Right? So, and I'll pause here. I mean, but that's something to think about. And I understand one of the worst advice anybody can give you, just follow your dreams and things will happen. No, it's not quite like that. That's actually pretty terrible advice. You have to build the rigor. You have to put in the effort. You have to think about it more strategically. Not all practices are equal. What you deliberately do, what you decide, which Zoom meeting you decide to skip so that you can do something better also matters, right? So it have to be deliberate. It's not just like follow your dreams and money will follow. No, that's not quite how things work. So I'm going to move on now, talking about brain, over how our brain is and how it can easily be tricked. I'm going to show an image and I want you to look at it and think about what you're seeing. Don't answer right now because the question is coming up. Look at this image and then I'll ask you, what do you see? All right, so go ahead and type that answer. What did you see? A bird, a rabbit, a duck, rabbit, duck. Well, let's see if we can 30 responses and then we'll move on. So apparently people saw different things, right? Some people saw a bird, some people saw, so it was a duck. Some people saw a duck, some people saw a rabbit. And those, that great debate of that whether the dress is yellow or blue, gold or blue. I don't know if you remember that. There's a whole debate. Some people see a gold dress, some people see a blue dress. But this is because your brain is easily tricked. And the problem here, or not the problem, the opportunity here is that you have to understand, you can only focus on one at a time. Some people do see a rabbit and a duck, but they have to shift their focus. You cannot hold the both images at the same exact time, which is fascinating, right? So another one, this is another famous one. Focus on this image. This even has a name. It's a very popular old image. And same thing, we're going to ask you, what do you see? All right. So what did you see? Lady, old lady, young lady, a young woman, an old lady. And that is fascinating. And go back and try this again. But did you see them both at the same time? And you don't have to. Obviously, we don't have a way to comment that. But that's the important part. Our brains are not wired to see both of them at the same time, right? And reality is something that's built in your mind, not necessarily, it's completely 100% present for you. All right, so I'm looking at time and we're maybe running a little bit short, so I'm going to go a little faster. So the idea, you have your comfort zone, and your comfort zone is created by the people around you, the things you do, the food you eat. And there is another comfort zone that exists beyond your reach, way, way far out. And the more you perceive the reality of that world, because your mind can only hold one image at that time, you will live in that world and the reality will start to shift towards that. Because the goal comes first, and you got to get better at writing the right goals. It's not something into it. People don't even write it down. You got to get better at writing goals and build the reality. And that's the idea. That's the gist of it. So the idea is simple. Only two things: to set good goals. And it's not something, I mean, I've seen hundreds of Harada reports, hundreds of Hisanos in the balance wheels, but it's like people still haven't gotten good at good goals. And the book has good examples of what good goals might look like. And trusting and that confidence. We had a person in the White House, and for whether love him or hate him, but he was very confident in himself. And I can tell you, that's still the way the world works, right? Whether for goodness or bad, that's the way it works. So I'm not going to go through the balance wheel exercise. I have published a Miroverse. If you go to Miroverse or go to that link, you can watch my video there and try out for yourself for real and share it with your coach or your partner. We're not going there. What I'm trying to tell you is there's a comfort zone, and many people have this elastic relationship with the comfort zone. They say, okay, I'm making $100,000. I want to make 110,000. There's a rubber band effect, right? Because it brings you right back here. Because you could make 101,000, but you didn't set a high goal. You didn't set it far out. So even a little bit was this rubber band and come back. And then you have the fear zone, the learning zone. What we want you to live is growth zone. And if you do it deliberately and you do it with a proper solid model, you will shift your comfort zone. We are not static people. We are not static. Human beings are beautifully complex. Embrace that instead of fighting it. All right, so the model here, Hisano's model, and the part I'm going to focus on is imagination, confidence, and involvement. And these are the three essentials. Without that, the foundation collapses. There's much more to it. The 7 powers, and we will share this deck with you, or you can get a hold of the book and it will give you more understanding. But obviously, in a nutshell, is these 7 powers. And I'm going to focus on these middle ones. What is the power to involve more people? Power to imagine, power to trust yourself. All right. So what is this involvement? And I know I'm going fast and furious now. This is where reality just hit me that, hey, I got to land this one for you guys to actually do an exercise. So skill and capability to gain support from others, right? And so I'll ask you this question. When should you begin involving other people? What are your thoughts? Take a minute to answer that question in your Menti poll. When should you involve others? Now, at the start, after you gather your thoughts, as soon as practically possible, at the beginning, from the beginning, as early as possible, always, as soon as all. So resonance, right? You feel like it's a good idea and should be earlier beginning for most part, right? And there is no right and wrong answers, but there's a right one for you. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. And shifting from can't is such a dangerous word. Even saying that I don't is better than saying I can't. Like I don't eat sweets versus, oh, I can't eat sweets, I'm going to get fat, right? So don't fall. Language is very powerful, but try to embrace that and shift it towards self-talk and self-affirmation. Take back that control. All right. And when is it right? When you feel it's now. So that's why I said there's no right or wrong answer. Now I'm putting in the reticular activating system. There's a word that's out of scope for today's session. But what I'll do is I'll share what neuroscientists know and tell everybody to engage with. Um, so it's to figure it out. And that's where Maria was mentioning New Year's resolution, right? But New Year's resolution, and we're at the end where most of the people, their New Year's resolutions have already fizzled away, right? Because you got a high energy right at the end of December, and then this is what happens statistically speaking, right? And it's kind of consistent. Not going to go into this too much dissertation, and this is a little bit more about how you unlock the reticular activating system and how you can make it to good use. Bottom line, and this is essential, you gotta meet people outside of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone is formed with the people around you. The reason I'm so tightly engaged with Diana Larson, even Norman, is Glenda, because they're also business owners and there's coaches I look up to. What they're already living is the world I want to live into, and I connect and go deeper into that, right? And it's important. So these are the 7 steps, more like questions. Who are you meeting? How are you connecting people? And there are answers to this, right? But there's methodical way. These are the 7 questions, 7 steps. If you answer them well, even on a cyclical, on a weekly basis, fortnight basis, and share with your partner, I can guarantee you still things will start to move in the direction you want. It's pretty simple, but it's hard to master. That's why you need somebody to help you accelerate. All right, so there's answers, and we're not going to dive into this because I want to really take you to the video and then the exercise. This is another video. I think I don't need to introduce Arnold Schwarzenegger, but why don't we listen to him for a minute?
I always tell people that you can call me anything that you want, but don't ever, ever call me a self-made man. I came over here with absolutely nothing. I had $20 in the pocket and some sweaty clothes in the gym bag. But let me tell you, I had this one little apartment, and on Thanksgiving, the bodybuilders from Gorge Gym came to my apartment and they brought me pillows, dishes, silverware, all of the things they didn't have. None of us can make it alone. None of us. Not even the guy that is talking to you right now. That was the greatest bodybuilder of all times. Not even me, that has been the Terminator and went back in time to save the human race. Not even me, that fought and that killed predators with his bare hands. I always tell people that you can call me anything that you want, but don't ever, ever call me a self-made man.
Right, I'm going to pause this. But again, these are things that are available to you. And you may know somebody here who has done a little bit more deeper dive into this idea. So what I want you to do, this is where I'm going to shift. I am going to take you to pieces of paper. So if you can pin my video, I don't know if you can see me small enough. You can see my rectangle and pin the video. What I want you to do is take a piece of paper and draw a circle in the middle. Put your name in there. Are you okay with following along? Give me a thumbs up or I don't know, yell at me if you can't see or something's not right, because it's important to do this exercise. All right, perfect. So put a circle, put your name in there, then draw another circle here and write 1 step ahead on the top, but don't fill the circle. And then on this side, write trusted partner, but don't fill the circle, right? And then following here, hype man or woman. your advocate. And finally here, a true coach or mentor. And it could be your brother, it could be your spouse. I mean, take use of things that are available to you. So in that, what I want you to do, you're going to do and spend a minute. Oh, I don't know if you can see all this. You're going to spend a minute putting names of people in your world that at least one person, you can have more than one person in that circle, and see like who is that person who can fill that role. So remember your name in the middle, one step ahead. This is the person who's ahead of you, who you can look up to, who can bounce ideas on a weekly basis, less regularly, but still somebody who's ahead of you. A trusted partner who can lend you an ear, who could be available day to day. A hype man, right? A person who believes in you more than you do. And when I coach people, I tell them, you get this out of default from me because I will believe in you more than you do. And that's something that every coach has to exhibit. And finally, the person who is your coach or mentor. So take a minute. So was that clear with everybody? Were you able to see what those 4 boxes are? All right, awesome. So now take a minute to put those names down while Alex is going to open up rooms. You'll be in small groups. And what you'll do is you'll share among yourself, nominate somebody in that room who will be your representative, discuss what you shared, and then bring back what is the common thing that was emerging to the main group, right? So take a minute to write down your own parts. And Alex, you can start opening the rooms, and then we'll leave you there for 7 minutes to discuss among yourselves and share with your thought partners. And right, sometimes you got to invest 3 hours, but we only have 30 minutes, so we'll do what we can. Well, we are not going to. So here's what my thought process. I was going to ask for a representative for each group, but I'm not going to ask that. And the reason is because the type of questions may be more personal. And this is something that you can hold on space afterwards too. So we're not going to do a group debrief. Others will be here till 1:30 Eastern time. So let's hold that. But hopefully that was good for you. And I did see one particular question, I think was from somebody saying, what models have originated in India? There have been models that have been originated in India, and I would recommend you look into Coach Acharya as a very solid organization that is involved with that. But we're all building upon each other, if you haven't noticed. From the Greek to the Romans, to the Indians, to the Chinese, to the Turkish, everybody's building upon each other. It's a combined heritage. But Japanese have this attraction, and I do believe that this model is very useful. So I am going to try to go wrap it up as fast as possible, but hopefully this exercise was worth your time. And now I'm going to do something that I've never done before, which is pitch something, right? So I'm going to pitch you something because it's outside of my comfort zone. I get frozen when I ask for money. So I'm going to ask for money. Let's see what happens here. And just like in broader network, I've been asked to be affiliated with many people. I don't like them, or I don't endorse them, but this is one particular group I do. So Sally, Lata, Summer are friends of mine for many, many years. And recently there was a problem that was happening. Everybody's trying to solve for those Scrum 101, Agile 101 things. And one person is going to YouTube videos, one is going to lynda.com, one is going to a plural site, one is going to somewhere, everybody is coming to a different understanding. It has caused unhealthy information. There are people like Johanna Rothman, Esther Derby that have their own courses that are worthful, but they live somewhere else. They don't live in these public sites where you're 260 courses in different voices. So what would solve that? A curated model. And Agile videos, I do endorse them. If you use that coupon code, I do benefit from that. But if you want to save 15%, you can. But I think that is my pitch, and I'll stop there. Take a note of it. But I do recommend for people who are in their early ages, instead of going the wild, wild west of YouTube and LinkedIn Learning or Pluralsight, go to something that is more curated. That is it. Now, you can connect with me on Agile 7, my email address, my cell phone, my own new YouTube channel is there. I'm always happy to answer questions, and reach out to me. I do in limited capacity take on new students, but my time is very scarce, so it has to rise to a certain level. But if somebody comes up, I can always connect them. That is what I do. And for with that, I think we need to leave you with next steps. Do some more self-study, work with a coach if possible, or work with a partner, and practice. It's about deliberate practice that results in tacit knowledge. I just gave you a taste test and I did not hide anything. Those are literally the 7 steps that we go deeper into. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing so I can answer any questions that you might have. So, Alex, what questions are you seeing?
I'm looking through. I know someone asked for the link to the book, but I believe that was shared. I've not seen any others. Don't forget, guys, if you do have questions or comments that you'd like to share with the group, just add them into the chat and we will bring those forward.
Raise your hand or just unmute your mic. If everybody speaks at once, we can find out. But for now, since it's quiet, anybody can speak. What questions do you have?
I think Gauri has a question.
Sure, Gauri, can you articulate it?
Let me invite him to not mute. Here you go, Gauri.
Okay, so I think when we have done that breakout sessions, most of us were having a question as to whether you are expecting us to put one person name, or it is your thought is we can have any number of names in each of those sites directions.
You can have any number of names, the more the better, right? But the expectation is you have to think about this a little bit more deliberately and at least put in one person there, right? If not, then think about what's your game plan. What is your how do you have other people come up and assist you in your reality?
So what could be the reason for going through this exercise? I understood it, but I just want you to again re-articulate as to the reason why we have to go through this process.
Oh, so we believe in cognitive coaching that you cannot do everything all by yourself, especially if you want to go from 1 to 100, and you have to build a systems view of your support structure. No man is an island, and assuming that you're a self-made man is a big mistake, and we try to help people unprogram themselves from that thinking.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? That's a good question. And Alex, we can unmute everybody, I guess.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Is it Friday? Is it late in the afternoon? Was it just too much? Right, Leonard, John has a question. He's raising his hand. Oh, can you, Alex, can you unmute everybody?
Everyone should be allowed to unmute themselves now.
All right, John, go ahead.
Try.
Okay, there we go. I'm unmuted now. Okay, I was just wondering if you could share a little bit more about your mentor, Norman, and talk a little bit more about how the things that he taught you in this regard.
Yeah, so Norman and I have had a mentor-mentee and a friendship relationship for many years now. I think maybe 4 coming into 5 years. He passed away in December. He was 88 years old, and he's considered the godfather of lean. He's published 100 books, and he's written a book about his life called The Miraculous Life. And you know, he would always in coaching sessions. So he was my coach, right? He would coach me, and we would bring up a lot of anecdotal things. He was really living that life, what's called outside of the comfort zone. At 86 years old, he published an app in the App Store, which I helped him create, right? But imagine a person who's in his 80s, understanding the App Store ecosystem, working with developers and producing an app. And the app is out there. It's called the Harada app. It's published in App Store. He was really a quintessential modeling his behavior. And you know, maybe your question is more about, I mean, I can talk about him endlessly. I really, I admire the man. He's left a mark on my life. My name is on a book with him. So there's many aspects of it. I would say one thing. If you read his book, The Miraculous Life, he used to say this story that in middle school, somebody wrote in his book that, you know, Norman is the first to get ahead in his life because he needs a head, right? And that was a big insult. And even at his 80s, he would take that personally. He was living in the shadow of his father. There's a long story there. He's traveled to Japan 100+ times, taken study groups, brought hundreds of books, published hundreds of books, right? And he's written books himself. Things that everybody was told him earlier is that he was dumb. Everybody would tell him he was dumb, right? His father, his friends, everyone. And he surpassed all of that. Man, he lived a miraculous life. And I think that has left me where I do, when I fail spectacularly because I enjoy it, because I know the learning is going to be even intense, right? But luckily, I've had a very good success rate in coaching people. I've done workshops with him for hospitals who are trying to take the Harada method route. So there's a lot to it. I hope I answer your question.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I think we have one more from Jackie. What
We'll
do you
take one more, yeah, and then we'll do a quick retrospective.
Okay. What do you define as a step ahead?
Oh, there's a very long list for me. And I think I already shared with you. Diana Larson is a step ahead of me, right? And my mentor, Dr. Glenda Oyoung, she's a step ahead of me. There are people that and even within my organization, I mean, I'll share this publicly. I do believe that Dr. Tony Montgomery, one of my peer coaches, is a step ahead of me. And I do reach out to him to get his advice. And there's no shame. I am still learning and I'm still enjoying this experience. But I'm very methodical and my list is very long. But I do interact. It's not just a list I put in my pocket. I do something about it. All right. So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so it's not only people you interact with, it's people you aspire to be like in action.
Yeah, and you want to meet them. You want to meet them because they're already there in the world that you're creating for yourself. Right?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to do a quick retrospective. These are the books. There's obviously many more Japanese books there, but we got one translated before Norman passed away. I was involved with the translation project, but that's something you want to look into. And now I want to just follow back. We talked about cognitive coaching and why you should care. Right? We talked about comfort zone and how do you shift. Hisano's model briefly, and we really went fast and furious in the 7 questions. And we talked to the myth of the man, self-made man, and we did a quick exercise related to that. When obviously we didn't do the rest things because these are longer things. So what I would like for you is to give me feedback on how you like this presentation. Hopefully your Mentimeter is still up. If not, the code is still up on the screen. I got 7 responses. Hoping I can get at least 20. I don't know how many people are still on the call. I know people get busy. And then we can ask one last parting question. And the other thing is, this is not just something that I'm doing just because it excites me, but there's things that you can apply in your own sessions when you're holding meetings, what kind of interactively you can build, what time you can afford. So obviously I had a 90-minute material that I tried to cram into 30 minutes. And I understand that, but I'm motivated to do good by you. Right, so I see 24, oh, there's a comment here too. What are those 7 steps? So the 7 questions that were at the end. Who are you meeting? How are you meeting? And there were answers that we really didn't talk deep into. But if you pick up the CEO coaching, there is a chapter dedicated to each one of those steps, right? But essentially the 7 questions are the leading steps that you need to answer for yourself and say, okay, what am I doing about this? And that's a frame of mind. All models are wrong, but some models are useful. And I believe, and I've seen it work for myself and the people I engage with, those 7 questions are the 7 steps. I hope that answered the question for whoever asked. All right, so we got 25 people. I think this is good enough and looks like mostly positive. There's some which is okay. I mean, there may be some elements of it that people did not like, and that's perfectly normal. But generally speaking, we're trending upwards. All right, what is one thing you want to remember from today's session? Please write your answer. 7 questions. Yeah. No one is self-made. Circle of growth. Any book to read. Yeah. Books have a transformative property. And it was a gentle exercise. Reach big goals. See somebody else say no one is self-made. My name and contact. Okay. Yeah, good. That's awesome. Thank you. 7 elements of CEO coaching. And yeah, highly recommended. This is, I'm just giving you a very small, taste test, I guess. But, and, we, in public workshops, we run 12 sessions, right? And people who've had been coaching, like, one-on-one, I do at least 10 sessions with them. So I'm more a custom tailor than the Walmart, right? Walmart has used too, but I like to work more detail and do custom tailor because everybody's unique and everybody's a genius. You just have to figure out what it is. All right. So that is all I have.